First of all, let me thank the Kerala Center, the awards committee, and all of you for recognizing me for this very honorable Lifetime Achievement Award. I really feel I stand here extremely humbled by looking at the biodata of my co-recipients of the awards. Many of you people all of you have accomplished great things, and it's really a privilege and an honor for me to stand next to you and receive this award. And as Daisy said, getting an award from your peers, nothing better than that. You know, that's the most important thing. The only caveat is that getting a Lifetime Achievement Award makes you feel old. I wanted to talk a little bit about, our favorite subject, and the topic I picked was COVID and life after COVID. I know that everybody's hungry, it won't be long. And so generally the biologists believe that we will have a pandemic every 30 years. This is not based on any scientific achievements or scientific assessments. This is just by looking at the study of the history of what has happened over time. And that's just quite true, that it doesn't have to be 30 years. Every day we are vulnerable for another pandemic because our interactions to the wildlife over time, over the next many years, have become shorter and shorter. We have climate change that changed wildlife to move from their habitats to where we live, and that's exposing us to deadly new viral infections. Similarly, we're also doing deforestations all over the place and moving into their areas of habitat and encountering new viral infections. This is only a matter of time that some of these new viruses can jump from one species to another species, like human beings, and then you stroll all along, you actually have a big pandemic. You also have to remember that one person who is infected with an infection can reach any part of the world within 18 hours because our aviation industry has expanded so much and you can't actually go anywhere else. In the past, the busiest airports we had were in New York City and Chicago, but now the busiest airports are Dubai and Singapore and other places, and people can reach any part of the world. So we cannot really prevent things from happening from one part or the other part. So inevitably you're going to have a pandemic, and our job as medical professionals and as respectable leaders of the community is to be able to prevent the next pandemic from getting a bad turn. I just wanted to summarize what happened in looking at 3 good things that we did, and probably 3 not so good things we did, and probably where we can actually improve. So what did we do good? First good thing is that global cooperation was the best. We cooperated with most countries and sharing data, teaching ourselves, learning from their experience in how to improve and save lives with COVID-19. It's not necessarily true for all countries, but majority of the countries shared their data and sought after expertise from other countries and provided their expertise so that we could learn from each other. And that's a really very good thing. The second best thing that happened is that we accelerated our process of drug development and vaccine development at a pace that never happened before. Most of the regulatory restraints were removed. We created for the first time an Operation Warp Speed, which was unheard of, created a lot of public-private partnership that led to the development of the greatest achievement was to make vaccines against SARS-CoV-2. So to put this into perspective, it is when I was reviewing phase 3 studies for the vaccines for the FDA in May of 2020, there was no data on phase 2 studies, which means these studies were not done. They are ongoing studies, and we are already reviewing the next stage that these vaccines are going to be prepared for the stage to use in large number of people. So usual time to make a vaccine, even all we are successful, is about 5 to 10 years. We made a COVID-19 vaccine in 13 months since the first case was discovered in Wuhan. And that's unprecedented. So much cooperation happened with people was because for the first time ever, and that was the biggest success of what we could do in making sure that this has actually happened. The third part of COVID-19 is not an achievement, but it is just a fact. The fact is that SARS-CoV-2 was not very high mortality disease. It's not a sad thing to say about someone who has actually lost somebody with COVID-19, but the mortality of SARS-CoV-2 is less than 1%. Why I'm telling you is that because SARS-CoV-2 is closely related to other viruses such as SARS, which is a mortality of 15 to 20%, and MERS that you see in Saudi Arabia and other places has a mortality almost 50%. Can you imagine what would have been if the mortality was much higher? So that was one of the aspects of it that we were able to, the three important things that we actually worked very well for us. But the most important thing is to learn from our mistakes. So what are the mistakes that we generally, there's a community made? There are several, and we could talk all day about this, but I just want to say a few things that we did not do right. One of the things National Academy of Medicine looked at it, and so what are the things that the medical community did well and what did not do well? One thing was messaging. We did not get our messaging very clear. Why didn't we do that messaging very clear? Of course, all the problems we had to encounter, we still did not do certain things correctly. And the general consensus was that we did not prepare and educate the public that we are really not good experts when I'm speaking to you when the pandemic is actually unraveling. The facts are coming in. I have some facts today, and I'm telling you based on that facts, and facts could change over time. I think we did not tell that to the public. We gave affirmative recommendations, and that kind of backfired over time because information changed and these things got changed. I don't know for sure whether we had not been affirmative, things would have been any different. What we have not done, it's very well, is that things are probably not going to change again. We probably do the same things again, but at least somehow it says that we need to be able to be better aware and educate the public a little bit more so that we can get the right type of messaging that going through to the public so they don't take it in a very political point of view. The second part is that there are still certain things we did not do very well. We did not study coronavirus, seasonal coronaviruses very well before SARS-CoV-2. There were coronaviruses we had. Many of you may have been exposed to coronavirus through the winter time, and you were never worked up. There was no treatment, it was a mild disease, but he never studied them. There were no grants for that. So this was completely new for us, and we didn't really were able to invest. A lot of the things which we did, we were doing it blindly. And we could have done it more in an educated fashion if we had studied and spent money on understanding that disease. Hopefully that will change over time. The next part of that part also was that I told you that it took 13 months to make a vaccine. But how many people died within 13 months? So many people died. We had nothing. This happened again, we will be in the same boat. It may take 6 months or 8 months or 2 years to come up with a vaccine that will prevent. There are a lot of people who will die. There are things we should do to alleviate these type of things. We cannot go into massive lockdowns. It's not economically sustainable. People are not going to tolerate these things. So next time around, how do we do this to make sure that there are a variety of things that we could have done. There are live attenuated vaccines we could have used and temporarily allow you to give some kind of immunity that protected you while you get a vaccine so the schools can open, people can go back to work. We never did really do work on that. Our emphasis was to make a good vaccine against SARS-CoV-2. So that's something people have to think about. And the third part, which I say is the most important part, is the preparedness of the pandemic. How do we really prepare for the pandemic from a global perspective? There are countries like India, there are countries like Japan, and the many countries in the Middle East who are actually not poor countries. They have a lot of resources there. India makes most vaccines than any other country in the world. We make vaccines supplied to the world. But we had all of these countries have to stand in line to get a vaccine. And they couldn't get the best vaccine, they could get whatever they could get to do it because they did not make the vaccine. Why can't people make their own vaccine? Why can't India, as the largest manufacturer of vaccine, can make their own vaccine? It's not easy, but we have to do that. Otherwise, we'll always be standing in line. The other aspect of the pandemic preparedness. Pandemic preparedness is always difficult because nobody is going to do all the measures we have to do to prepare for a pandemic when there is no pandemic. You may not see anything for the next 30 years, but that doesn't mean that you will see the gain. There are literatures, the papers published in 2018, 2019, 1900 years ago when the Spanish flu was here. And it's worth reading those papers. What all the things that they actually pointed out are exactly true now. They said that there won't be any expert. That is true. There were no experts. Everything was new for us. And there were people, everybody was an expert the next day. We have WhatsApp and everything else. Everyone has opinion about it. So it's completely confusing. People did not want it to be shut down. That was true then, that was true now. People did not want to believe that they can transmit a deadly disease when they have no symptoms. That was true then, it's true now. So it is difficult to keep up and the public awareness and public understanding and learn from these things and change the way we believe. If we cannot do that, it becomes extremely difficult. Americans are going to spend $12.2 billion in candies in the next 2 days. That amount of money is more than the entire NIH budget for diabetes, heart disease, AIDS, antibiotic resistance, and stroke combined. So we have to set our priorities right. I'm not saying they should not take candies, but we do have to make sure that we do spend so that we don't really have the same kind of mistakes happening again and again. I just want to step back to what we encounter in our place like Kerala. Kerala is the entry point for a lot of people from all of the different places, from prehistorically all the way from Vasco da Gama and St. Thomas. It's also the entry point for a lot of infections, because we are everywhere, we will bring back infections as well. We're all familiar with what happened with Nipah. We're also familiar with the first cases of COVID happened with 2 Chinese medical students from China, Malayali students who came back to Kerala. But what we did was we did a really good job managing those initial parts of it. When Nipah first came in, we always freaked out. Because from our knowledge, Nipah has killed thousands of people, the most deadly viral infection we can find. But the healthcare system, the infrastructure in Kerala managed very well. And they were able to contain the secondary and the tertiary spreads of the disease, and they were able to contain the disease. I did not know any of those people, and Jose and Kairali TV had done a lot of work on Nipah, and later on I found out, I came to know a lot of these people, but I did not know anybody before at this time. But with due respect, we do have that infrastructure in place. We have now an Institute of Advanced Virology where it has the capacity to make a vaccine. But capacity building is just difficult. You have to go from one step to another step. I can tell you one simple example is that there are parts of India we were not able to do a PCR. Couldn't do a PCR. There was nobody there who had a machine or were able to do that. It was most of the northeast corridor of India. So we went there in 2020 and taught people how to do PCR, so that they could actually do testing, which is a big part of how we operated in the last 2 years from 2020 to 2021. So we can do that. Many people here, there significant contributions in your personal and professional life. We have to give back to our country so that we can help us to prepare and make our own vaccines. So we don't really have to stand in line. We don't have to be a follower. We can lead world whenever the next particular healthcare problem is going to arise. Thank you very much, and I'm very humbled for this award.
നീലവാന ചോലയിൽ നീന്തിടുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ, നീലവാന ചോലയിൽ നീന്തിടുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ, ഞാൻ രചിച്ച കവിതകൾ നിന്റെ മിഴിയിൽ കണ്ടു ഞാൻ, വരാതെ വന്ന എൻ ദേവി നീലവാന ചോലയിൽ നീന്തിടുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ. ഏന്തിടും പെൺകിളി ചൊടികളിൽ തേക്കണം ഏന്തിടും പെൺകിളി നീയില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞാനേകനായി എന്തേ മൗനം മാത്രം നീലവാന ചോദയിൽ നീന്തിരുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ ഞാൻ രചിച്ച കവിതകൾ നിന്റെ കീഴിൽ കണ്ടു ഞാൻ വരാതെ വന്ന എൻ ദേവി ഞാനും നീയും നാളെയാ മാല ചാർത്തിടാം വാനും ഭൂവും ഒന്നായി വാഴ്ത്തി നിന്നിടാം മിഴികളിൽ കോപമോ വിരഹമോ താപമോ മിഴികളിൽ കോപമോ വിരഹമോ ദാഹമോ ശ്രീദേവിയേ എൻ ജീവനേ നീലവാന ചോലയിൽ നീന്തിടുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ ഞാൻ രചിച്ച കവിതകൾ നിന്റെ വിഴിയിൽ കണ്ടു ഞാൻ വരാതെ വന്ന എൻ ദേവി നീലവാന ചോലയിൽ നീന്തിടുന്ന ചന്ദ്രികേ.
Next, I'm going to have attorney Alex Joy please join us on the stage to present the award to the legal service recipient. And I would also ask Carrie Salaj, who is currently here, to also join us. Okay, he'll be here, but Alex Joy is I'm gonna invite him up to announce the legal service recipient of this year's award. And I'd also like Abraham Phillip and our trustee G. Mathai to please join us on the stage as we present this award.
An accomplished barrister and solicitor and active community member, Lata Menon has been recognized in the name of the legal community in Ontario, as well as the Indian states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Kerala, where she has practiced as a lawyer before immigrating to Canada. In addition to her professional activities as a lawyer, Lata devotes her time to the community at large and has become an active supporter and champion of women's equality and rights. She is actively engaged in several social and community programs in her capacity as a founder, board member, secretary, legal advisor, and many other positions. As a professional, Lata has touched the lives of several of her clients who came to her in distress when faced with family discord, domestic violence, abuse, and family disputes, which she has influenced many of her clients to pull their lives together and persevere in the face of adversity. Lata's achievements and success has made her a true leader, mentor, formidable force, influence, and inspiration to many. Let us all here invite Lata Menon up to the stage.
Lata, your 2 minutes.
Anyway, to thank you. This is to the honorable members of the Kerala Center, trustee boards, and all the members here, the award committees, and to my dear friends here. It's indeed my privilege to stand before you today as this year's awardee for the outstanding legal services to the community as large. And I share this honor with all other 8 Indian American Malayalis who excel in their professions, who worked for their social progress, and congratulations to all of them. There is no doubt that the Indian American Kerala Center is a great source of inspiration and is vigorously promoting the welfare of all the community in the US and in Canada. Kudos to all the members of the Kerala Center Trustees Board for their dedication and hard work. I need a big round of applause to the Kerala Center. Needless to mention that I was thrilled to be included amongst the list of this illustrious awardees, and the award will serve as a boost to double my efforts in the service to our community. Once again, a big thank you to all of you, and I would also wanted to thank God today. This year, 2023, I've been bestowed with so many awards, both from in India, Canada, and now in US too. So I should really thank for showering too much of blessings onto me, and I wish I could continue the good work and continue to be some good as an inspiration to all the youngsters who are in legal field, and also to the community at the large, because I serve a lot of services both in criminal, in family, and more on as a litigation lawyer. So thank you so much for everybody. In fact, I also have to thank the senator and all the people who are the members of the parliamentarians who've been here. I think I met them in the Kerala Lok Sabha assembly this year, early this year. So thank you so much, and I've been the first time come all the way from Toronto to receive this award. So thank you to all the members here. Thank you so much.